marital fidelity was alien to the Sforza family. Francesco Sforza, Duke of Milan, had many mistresses and illegitimate children, rumored to be as many as 30. His wife, Bianca Maria Visconti, had to put up with his many love affairs. Their eldest son, Galeazzo Maria, was like his father from an early age. Unlike him, however, he was more cautious in his liaisons, although they were also very fruitful. At the age of about 20, Galeazzo Maria met the beautiful Lucrezia Landriani, wife of a Sforza courtier. He fell madly in love with her. In society there was no question of her husband protesting. In Milan it was an honor to give a wife to the ruler of the city. Moreover, Galeazzo Maria was known for his fiery and violent temper, which made any opposition dangerous. In 1463 Lucrezia gave birth to a daughter. The girl was named Caterina and was immediately recognized as a member of the Sforza family. Caterina was raised by her grandmother, Bianca Maria, who surrounded her with love and reminded her of the family's glorious heritage. Caterina was brought up in the cult of family tradition and pride in her ancestors, who were not only warriors but also patrons of the arts. When Galeazzo Maria married Bona of Savoy, she not only took care of Caterina, but also of her husband's other children by his mistresses. Bona was a kind and generous stepmother with whom Caterina maintained a close relationship over the years. The Sforza court in Milan was renowned for its cultural diversity. Caterina grew up surrounded by writers, artists, and musicians. Her education was exceptional for the time. She studied Latin, sacred texts, classical literature, music and dance. Although Caterina was born out of wedlock, the Sforza family saw her as an important political tool to strengthen their alliances. Her first marriage failed after the death of her fiancé. But soon a more suitable party appeared, Girolamo Riario, nephew of Pope Sixtus IV. Sixtus IV, who came from a humble family in Savona, became pope in 1471 and reigned until 1484. He was a man of remarkable intelligence and culture. However, his reign was marked by excessive nepotism, which allowed him to strengthen the position of the Della Rovere family throughout Italy. His nephews held key ecclesiastical positions, and Girolamo Riario gained possession of the strategic city of Imola. Caterina and Girolamo were married in January 1473, when the girl was only 10 years old. No one objected to such an early marriage. The wedding night itself was an act of violence. Girolamo wanted to establish his right to the union immediately, fearing that the agreement might be annulled. This gesture destroyed Caterina's childhood, left a deep psychological wound, and determined the nature of their future relationship. After the wedding, Caterina remained in Milan until the age of 14, while her husband consolidated his position in Imola. In September of that year, Cardinal Riario, another nephew of the Pope, successfully concluded negotiations, and the city of Imola was officially taken over by Girolamo for 40,000 ducats. In Milan, Caterina continued to receive a brilliant education, but her life changed in 1476 when her father, Duke Galeazzo Maria, was murdered by conspirators. This event shook the entire Milanese court. The regency passed to the Duke's widow, Bona of Savoy. In April 1477, Catherine traveled to Rome to join her husband, stopping at Imola, where she was greeted with great festivities. In Rome, Catherine was received with honor. She was surrounded by respect and admiration, but she never ceased to miss Milan and her stepmother Bona, with whom she kept up a correspondence. Life with Girolamo was anything but idyllic. They were 15 years apart in age and had opposite personalities. Nevertheless, they shared a common ambition to strengthen their position in the Italian political world. In 1479 they had their first son, Ottaviano, whose godfather was Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, the future Pope Alexander VI. Catherine was a quick learner. She realized that in the world of politics there was no room for sentimentality or weakness. In 1480, when Lodovico Moro, Caterina's uncle, deposed the Dowager Duchess Bona from the regency, Caterina, realizing the importance of an alliance with Moro, broke off relations with Bona. In 1481, Girolamo Riario sought to expand his holdings. When the Signoria of Forli became vacant, the Pope gave it to Girolamo to consolidate his control over the region. In July 1481, the couple officially occupied their lands. Catherine, who was pregnant, caused a sensation by appearing in public on horseback. She won everyone over with her beauty and courage. Girolamo, on the other hand, was less popular. His complex character and lack of charisma irritated the inhabitants. Everything changed on the 12th of August, 1484, when Sixtus IV died. Without the Pope's patronage, Girolamo was vulnerable. Catherine, showing her determination, occupied the castle of St. Angelus and forced the cardinals to negotiate. But after 12 days she was forced to surrender and leave Rome. After their return to Imola and Forli, the position of the Riario family became increasingly precarious. The new Pope Innocent VIII was an implacable enemy of the Della Rovere family. Financial support from Rome ceased and soon Girolamo's resources began to dwindle. The situation was exacerbated by the economic crisis in the region. In an attempt to restore the budget, Girolamo reinstated the taxes and duties that had previously been abolished for the benefit of the population. This provoked the discontent of the inhabitants and increased their antipathy towards the ruler. Catherine, on the other hand, remained firm and wise. She maintained relations with the other Italian courts and tried to keep the political balance. Girolamo and Caterina's family life had virtually collapsed by this time. They quarreled frequently and it became increasingly difficult to govern the state. When Girolamo fell ill in 1487, Caterina took over the administration of the Signoria. Despite many difficulties and frequent pregnancies, she dealt with rebellions, protests, and intrigues. While the Medici secretly fomented discontent in Forli, the Orsi family, wealthy citizens of the city, became the core of the conspirators. On the 14th of April, 1488, Orsi supporters took advantage of the absence of guards to break into the Riario palace. The conspirators surprised Girolamo. He was killed in the castle, his body thrown out of the window and dismembered. He was soon followed by the head of Imola's guard. Caterina was in the palace with her children and her mother. She tried to organize resistance, but the conspirators caught her and took her to Orsi's house. Caterina kept her cool. She managed to negotiate with the conspirators to allow her to enter the fortress of Ravaldino on the pretext of signing a document of surrender. Once inside, Caterina took control of the fortress and declared her intention to fight to the end. Even when the conspirators threatened to kill her children, she refused to give in. Legend has it that she shouted from the towers of the fortress, "Kill them if you want. I can make others." Soon the troops of Lodovico Moro, Caterina's uncle, arrived and helped to restore her power. She then dealt brutally with the conspirators. They were tortured and executed, and their houses were destroyed. The people of Forli were horrified by her ruthlessness, but she restored order to the region. Widowed, Catherine began to rule alone, formally in the name of her son Ottaviano. She ruled the state rigidly, seeking to strengthen it and protect it from external threats. During this time she fell in love with the young and handsome Giacomo Fio, brother of the commander of Ravaldino. Their affair was stormy. Caterina gave him a great deal of power, making him governor and commander of the fortress. She married him in secret in order to retain custody of her children from her first marriage. But Giacomo Fio quickly made enemies. His arrogance and rudeness were hated by his subjects. He mistreated Caterina's children from her first marriage, which only added to the tension. On the 27th of August, 1495, returning from a hunting expedition, he was assassinated by conspirators. Catherine was shocked. She carried out a veritable massacre, ordering the execution not only of the conspirators, but also of their families. This brutal revenge was her political mistake. The people of Forli, who had previously respected her for her determination, turned their backs on her, appalled by her bloodthirstiness. After the death of Giacomo Fio, Caterina was not long without a husband. Giovanni de' Medici, a representative of the younger branch of the Medici family, came to Forli to conclude favorable contracts for the purchase of grain. He and Caterina developed a warm relationship that soon turned into love. Giovanni was an intelligent, educated and gentle man with whom Caterina finally found peace. They married in secret so that she would not lose custody of the children of her first marriage. They soon had a son, Lodovico, who was renamed Giovanni after his father's death in 1498. This marriage, though short-lived, was a bright moment in Catherine's life. At the same time, however, she faced new political difficulties. In 1499 the French King Louis XXIV invaded Italy. He took Milan and overthrew Lodovico Moro, who had been Catherine's last strong ally. At the same time, Pope Alexander VI Borgia decided to create a state for his son Cesare in Romagna. Imola surrendered to Cesare without a fight, but Catherine took refuge in the fortress of Ravaldino and prepared to defend Forli. She spent 3 weeks under siege, personally leading the defense of the fortress. Her steadfastness was admired throughout Italy, even by her enemies. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote of her fearlessness, calling her an excellent signora. On the 12th of January, 1500 the fortress fell. Catherine was captured and sent to Rome, where she was imprisoned in the Castel Sant'Angelo. She was accused of trying to poison the Pope, but was soon released thanks to the intercession of the Allies. Shechedrin, Sylvester Feodosevich. New Rome. The Castle of the Holy Angel. After her release, Catherine moved to Florence, where she lived in the house left to her by her husband, Giovanni de' Medici. She devoted herself to her children, especially her youngest son Giovanni, for whom she fought for custody. Caterina was fascinated by science. She wrote treatises on cosmetology, medicine, and alchemy, and compiled more than 400 recipes, which are included in her manuscript. She died of pneumonia on the 28th of May, 1509, worried about the future of her youngest son. Her son Giovanni del Bandiniere became one of Italy's most famous condottieri, carrying on his mother's military legacy. His descendants, including Cosimo I, the first Grand Duke of Tuscany, and Maria de' Medici, Queen of France, made Caterina the ancestress of numerous European monarchs, including Louis VI. Catherine was one of the most colorful figures of the Renaissance. She was nicknamed the Tigress of Romagna for her indomitable will and ruthlessness combined with intelligence.